Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Weird Mind Newsroom. Still the same location, still the same bright light in my eyes. Anyway, we're not going to be too much long this week, as there wasn't really much news, but we're going to talk about the releases, of course, new trailers, and more news anyway. So, without further ado, let's get into what came out this week.
Pizza time.
First, if you can't tell by my hoodie, we are going to talk about probably, to me personally, my most anticipated movie of this year. Which is saying something in a year where we had the likes of the Mario movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and we'll probably have Mission Impossible 7, Indiana Jones 5, Oppenheimer, and Barbie. We are, of course, talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, this is the sequel to the 2018 Oscar-winning film, and sees Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, and Peter B. Parker return once again for a new madcap multiverse adventure. Now, in this instance, we are jumped forward about a year after the events of the Into the Spider-Verse, and Miles has been, Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man, and has been, just keeping the city safe. He's dealing with some stuff, with like school and his parents and, just trying to move on in case of wanting to see Gwen again. There's a bit of a romantic fling there. And soon enough, he gets visited by Gwen, who basically brings him to a society full of other spider people, led by Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, who will have to help in solving a new threat, known as the Spot. A goofy villain that turns out to be probably quite more of a menace. Now, to say that this movie has gotten universal acclaim is an understatement. As I mentioned last week, social media reactions were universally acclaimed, being labeled as masterpiece or work of art, the best movie of this year. And personally, I will probably say for Best Picture, personally, for Oscars. If the Academy don't do it, I will be mad. And personally, I'm thinking in a case instance, I will be definitely going to see this, but in my head, I'm thinking it's a perfect 10. And you will know damn well for sure I will be doing a review for that. I'll probably even do it in a full-on suit, I'll do in the full Spider-Man suit I do have. I mean, I was going to do it with a mask, but, we're going to add a bit too much to it. If animated adventures isn't your thing and you're looking for a bit more of a spooky nature, then I would check out The Boogeyman, the newest adaptation of a Stephen King short story and by the producers of Stranger Things. Now, this new one is based on high schooler Sadie Harper and her younger sister Sawyer, who are trying to deal with the recent death of their mom and their very distant father, even if he is a therapist. It's a weird kind of case. So when a desperate patient suddenly arrives on their house seeking for help, he basically leaves a terrifying and supernatural creature in their home that preys on families and feeds on the suffering of its victims. Now, the reviews for this have been pretty decently. A lot of this stuff is basically some good scares, and usually Stephen King stories tend to be good. Well, not all the time with Stephen King novels. I talk about In the Tall Grass feeling like that's the weakest one I've seen, but I know there's a lot more worse Stephen King adaptations. But if you're looking for something spooky, I wouldn't think this is a poor choice. It's got some decent, alright reception, so yeah, you can check that out. I mean, it got turned from a streaming release into a cinema release, so can't go wrong with that. Now, for the first of the gaming news, we have a new remake on our hands. Wheel of Katamari Reroll and Royal Reverie. This is basically the second game in the popular series of games where you play as a small prince of the cosmos who basically gains the control of an ever-growing ball that takes up small objects, people, buildings, and even continents and planets in order to create new stars in the galaxy for the king of the cosmos, your father. This is the second game to be remade after Katamari Damacy Reroll from a few years ago, which I played through and I really enjoyed, and I will probably be definitely playing this when I have the chance. If you're looking for a bit of a fighting game, then I would suggest the newest entry in the long-running Street Fighter series with Street Fighter 6. Now, this one is, of course, the 6th entry in the franchise, which is an understatement given that we've had so many remakes, remasters, and new editions versions of Street Fighter 2 and I think Street Fighter 4. Those games seem to be very popular. And after the bit of a poor perception of Street Fighter 5, which was the last one to come out, this one seems to be getting a good bit of really strong praise. I remember people complaining about it when it first was announced and they showed gameplay footage a while back that was criticized for looking not finished. But surprisingly, it's gotten some really good reception, and yeah, it could do pretty well. I hope it does well. I mean, the game franchise is pretty good, so yeah. And anyways, that's all we have for releases this week. Yeah, not really much a lot this week, but if you want to check out or play some of these games or watch some of these movies, definitely recommend Spider-Verse. Then I would check them out. So yeah. Now, let's talk about the trailers of this week. And we don't really have much this week, but let's start off with the first one I mentioned from last week. And that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. So this is the newest film that's taken an inspiration out of the art pages of Spider-Man. He did the Spider-Verse. As we've seen in a few other films as well, including Puss in Boots and Mitchell's vs. the Machines, this newest one will have the same art style and is by forever teenager Seth Rogen. Now this new one is seeing the turtles trying to win the hearts of the city of New Yorkers and trying to become regular teenagers after living in the shells for the longest time under the aid of Master Splinter. Now basically, with the help of their new friend April O'Neil, she helps to take down a crime syndicate and basically soon find themselves taking on an army of other mutants that are trying to take over the city. They discover there's more mutants in themselves and things just escalate from there. Now, it actually looks really engaging. Ninja Turtles now and again has some pretty decent stuff. You know, they're the classic films. And the third one. I think the last live action one of 2016 was actually pretty fun. I actually like that one. We've had a few animated ones from Nickelodeon the last point, and they've been pretty decent. So yeah, I think the animation looks really cool. It looks like basically equivalency what I've seen some bits of Spider-Gwen's universe in this one, kind of the watercolored painting style with a bit looks a bit like claymation, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, if you're looking for something to check out, it'll be releasing where I'm from at the end of July or from by the middle of early August on the 2nd. So yeah, cowabunga dudes. Now for something that's a bit too close to being a reality. Black Mirror is back for a 6th season next month. Yes, the long-awaited series has finally been created more by Charlie Hooper, and this new one will have new anthology stories that won't connect to each other, but it does have some big names coming in this year. The season including Aaron Paul, Salma Hayek Penalt, Zazie Beetz, Michael Cera, and some many more familiar faces. Now if you're looking to check them out, it's not too long away. I think it's only about a week off. It comes out, I think it starts the 12th to the 16th. It's either the 12th or the 16th of June. So, you know, it's only about a week off. Now let's talk about a film that actually was filmed a couple years ago. It was made in China. It's a film starring Jackie Chan and John Cena as two mercenaries trying to stop a terrorist group from stealing oil in a location of the Highway of Death. Now the reason this movie is only really coming out now is because of some situations of, you know, releasing rights, and in a situation where this movie was nearly shelved because of a situation that happened 2 years ago. You see, when John Cena was promoting Fast 9 or The Suicide Squad back in 2021, he made mention saying that Taiwan was a country. Now this caused a bit of a backlash kind of thing. He did apologize in full Chinese. I think he spoke full Chinese for their apology, I believe. Not 100% sure on that. But it seems to have possibly been cleared up, not 100% sure. And this film is coming out. It looks a bit over the top, it's goofy, visuals don't look fully rendered, but it doesn't look too bad. Depending when it comes out, I might give it a look, but, you know, it's probably one of those popcorn filler flicks, but, you know, could be something like that. And now our final trailer release of this week, in a very slow release week overall, we have the official trailer for the final season of Jack Ryan, the one starring John Krasinski in the title role. In this new season, it seems to be Casey's taking on trying to find the location of the ones responsible for the assassination of the President of America. This is done by any means necessary and trying to track down in case even like with drug kingpins and hitmen for hire and all other things and even possible corruption in the government. But yeah, I've seen a few episodes of Jack Ryan myself, and they're pretty decent. I will probably watch the entire season when it comes out. But yeah, if you're looking for some a bit of a high stakes mission after watching some other ones that are coming out this year, then I will sure to check out this when it releases on Amazon Prime at the end of the month on June 30th. And with that, that's the end of the trailers for this week. And now, let's go talk about a bit on the news stuff. So our first story comes to us with a bit of live action news. Now, this is not actually Disney live action news. We're talking about live action news based on an animated film from DreamWorks. Yes, if you are unaware, we are getting a live action version of the beloved film of How to Train Your Dragon. We got announced that a few weeks ago that we were getting a new live action version of it. Don't know when it's coming out, but we do know the announcement this week of who will be playing the two main kid leads of Hiccup and Astrid. Now, on the side of things with Astrid, she's going to be played by Nico Parker. Now, if you know who she is, she recently played the role of Sarah in the HBO series The Last of Us. And for Hiccup, he's going to be played by Mason Thames, who you may not know much, but he played the role of Finney in last year's Blumhouse film, The Black Phone. He was the kid that got kidnapped by the Snatcher. And personally, I think they are some pretty good choices for the roles of Hiccup and Astrid. I could definitely see the aesthetic in there with the two of them. Like, I need to see a bit more of their roles and stuff, but I think they could fit a decent performance with the two of them. But it's also the case as well where I don't know how I feel the likes of a live action series. I know it's based on a book. That's a given. I know that all these How to Train Your Dragon films are based on a book series, like a British book series. But, you know, I could definitely give a case that I might give it a check out. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think this is a good casting? And would you go even see a new live action iteration of How to Train Your Dragon? It's sort of a bit on the fence, but let me know down below. I'd love to hear what you thought, and let's have a discussion and see what you think should be done about it. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the ongoing strike news. Yes, we are a month into this writer's strike, and personally I still think that they should give the writers what they deserve, like, you know, an actual decent wage and some other stuff. But to really talk about this, we're going to go to my other self over in a different part of this house, or a different universe, to talk about some of the recent news stuff in a quick fire rundown of what has been happening with the strike.
My name is Jeff.
Yes, hello, I am from a different part of this house, for some reason, a different universe. Now let's talk a little bit about what's been happening with this week's news in relation to the writer's strike. Okay, first off, we've got discussion about a little update on the second season for The Last of Us HBO series. Now initially, as what Bella Ramsey, who played Ellie, has specified a couple of weeks ago, is that we were planning to see this release sometime in early 2025. Now, due to the writer's strike, we can't see this happening as of yet. It could see a possible delay into later in that year or into 2026 before we see season 2 of that show. Reason being is because, essentially, it hasn't been written yet, and, you know, with the writer's strike being part of the Writers Guild of America, they can't really write so much. So I get the understanding of what they're going to do here, so let's give it with that. Next one we have to discussion about is Deadpool 3. Now the situation with that one is that it has started production. I think they got a script done, but the only thing that has to be affected is actually with Ryan Reynolds himself. You see, usually sometimes with these movies, Ryan Reynolds will actually go in depth about some of his different topics of discussion, mainly with the likes that he would improv certain scenes. He might, you know, add some scenes to bits and pieces that might make it a bit more funnier or a bit more make sensical of all things, but because he's associated with the guild, he can't really do that. So it could affect the film, and personally it might cause a delay in production. They could hold production to be in accommodation with the Writers Guild if there's certain scenes where they feel like some improvisation might work better. You never know. We'll have to see what happens. And in the last section of stuff we're going to talk about with the relation to some news is mainly in the area of a galaxy far, far away with Star Wars. Now we have two discussion points we have with the Star Wars stuff. First of all, I'll talk about Mandalorian. Now, we know Season 3 has been a bit hit or miss to people, and get it, like, I think it did a decent finale. There's a lot of missteps with this season, for sure, kind of thing, but I still enjoyed a bit of it. I get the idea of what they're going with, but, you know, it was a bit confusing to understand, but we got around to it. Anyway, we do know that Jon Favreau, the creator of the series, has specified that he has already started writing or completed writing on episodes for the 4th season of The Mandalorian. Now, we haven't got confirmation yet, but because of the Writers Guild strike, we have no idea whether or not they're going to have started filming on it. Now, we'll have to see what happens once the guild reaches the agreement. We get some good deals and stuff, but we'll have to see what happens. The other one comes to us from Kiwi director Taika Waititi, who is also working on his own Star Wars film and has also appeared in the series as IG-11 in the Mandalorian series. Now, he is working on a film, as I mentioned, and his whole thing is essentially that he's currently doing a bit of writing on this stuff. He's currently running away. He has an idea for a start, he has a different ending, but he doesn't have a different middle. Now, the case of this could also be affected by the Writers Guild. I'm not 100% sure on that side of things, but I'm sure hopefully we'll get some ideas and things. But yeah, that's all we have on this side of things. So I'm going to send you back over to my lovely colleague that looks exactly like me, but wearing a different shirt and different things. Don't ask questions. See you later. Thank you. Other version of me from a different universe, I think, specified vacation is wearing a different item than me. But yeah, what do you think about all these different announcements from the writer's strike? Do you think it's personally agreeable? Do you think that people should get what they should be earning? And let me know what you think down below. Honestly, I'm on the side of the writers. I think personally they've been doing a shit ton of good work, and it's probably a case of reason that some of the writing has been a bit hit or miss because, you know, they're going through the paces right now. AI is trying to take over, and everything thing is just falling apart, but yeah, you get the idea. Now, we all know for this other piece of news now that The Office has been a well-established and beloved series on television. It started with a well-beloved and cult classic British series starring Ricky Gervais as David Brent. Now, this didn't last much of a series. It was like 2 seasons, about 12 or 13 episodes, and it ran its fair share, of course, and it was very well popular. There's a lot of great moments in it as well, of course. This then followed with a US remake made by the same developers and starring Steve Carell, John Krasinski, and a few other big names in the industry. This went on for 9 seasons, with, I felt it should have ended with season 7, and went on to an extra 2 seasons. There's been talks of a reboot, and yada yada yada. But now, there's been talks of another new version of the series, and this time, we're going down under. That's right, an Australian version adaptation of the beloved sitcom is being made. And this one's more of a female-focused Office remake as well. It's, I think they'd say, more focally based on the US version. So basically a reboot of an original version. But yeah, basically we have no idea if any of the original show creators or even some of the characters appearing in the previous 2 versions of The Office are going to make a cameo. Like, you know, we could see Steve Carell or David Brent show up, you know, randomly in the background, do some goofs and gaffs. But we'll have to see what happens and who will be involved in this cast. But what do you think? Do you think an Australian version of The Office will be a decent showing? And which one do you prefer better? Do you prefer the UK version or do you prefer the US one? And explain your reasons down below for reasonable points. Or do you like them both in agreement, so like kind of case? Let me know down below. I'd love to have a discussion on what you think about them. And now our final news story of this week comes to us in terms of discussion from the actor of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, to say that his film releases as of late have been a bit hit or miss. As he's been in a few bits, right? He started off playing Crypto in the DC League of Super Pets, which did moderately okay in terms of reception as well as financially. Did do his big numbers. I think it was around the same time that came out as a few different big films last year, but I digress. It's then led to basically his most big focal point of the biggest game changer with DCU with Black Adam. Now, that film did release in October, and that film had a bit of a rough financially and critically. Personally, I think it's okay. It's not the best thing. Like, I have to say, he does an okay job. I liked Pierce Brosnan's character of Dr. Fate. I actually really liked his character. It was pretty cool. And Hawkman wasn't bad as well. But yeah, like, I'd like to see more of them, but you know, the kind of things. And I've recently the case instance that he did, essentially this kind of led to the poor reception and box office of the newest Shazam sequel, Fury of the Gods. Because Black Adam is a known mortal enemy of Shazam, and basically that was their plan for the sequel. But Dwayne Johnson stepped in, caused all different things. Which led to a tirade called Rant by Zachary Levi, the guy who plays Shazam, on Instagram about 2 or 3 weeks after the film came out. I did see it as well. It's okay. It's not as good as the first one. Like, it felt like it. If there was a Black Adam face-off, I feel like Best of Both Worlds would have worked better. And then as well, he also announced that there was going to be a live-action version of Moana, the film he was in playing Maui again, which is a bit odd given that the film is less than 10 years old and only came out in 2016. And feels like this is a bit too early for a live-action version, or in general. So anyway, moving that aside, we all know there's a case of one other franchise that he's been a part of for a little over a decade at this point, and that is the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, in the span between his appearance in Fast 5, since then, he's appeared in about 5 or possibly 6 of the last 7 films that have come out in the Fast franchise. He's appeared in Fast 5, Fast 6, Fast 7, Fast 8, Hobbs and Shaw, and could be possibly in 10. There's been discussion that he possibly was. I'm not going to specify anything. I have seen the film. I'm not going to spoil territory, even in my review, what I'll do eventually. But yeah, it's in relation to Fast and Furious, because it was finally announced that apparently his feud with Vin Diesel, the reason he didn't appear in Fast 9, is that essentially has been quashed since a year ago, and that he's coming back for the franchise. He's apparently confirmed to be appearing in the 11th film in the mainline franchise to basically cap off the series, as well as a case of getting his own solo spin-off. Now, whether or not this will actually just end up turning into a sequel to Hobbs and Shaw is the real question, but yeah, like, I think he does a decent job in this franchise, and, you know, it could do well. But what do you think? Do you think he's a reasonable good thing to have him back for this franchise, or do you believe that they should just leave him be? So, in the comments below. We'll see what happens, you know. I personally think he could do well. I feel like it makes sense to have everyone back together for one final hoorah. Woo! Yeah, baby! And with that, we come to an end of a very short but very quiet week of Weird Mind Newsroom. Not a lot I'm expecting for a second episode, but we do what we have, I may never look through so much content, but you get what you give. Well, first off, I want to at least thank you for all those, the amount of people that did watch my first video and liked it and even commented. I see you out there, I got you, Tom Jones, I had to do it. But yeah, I appreciate each and every one of you taking your time to listen to me ramble for 20 minutes on media, because what else do I have to do? I talk on all things media, as you've seen by my thumbnail in that last one. Which also I want to thank my lovely girlfriend, my lovely Starlight, for making a really lovely thumbnail. And yeah, if you want to check out her stuff, I will have a link in the description to her YouTube channel. She does really cool 3D model pieces. She makes excellent pieces, and she's fantastic at it. And if you have the time, please check it out. Give her a like, give her a sub, But yeah, I hope you enjoy listening to me ramble here for probably a slightly short bit of time this week. But yeah, if you liked it, give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you can. And if you think anyone else who might enjoy it, share it around. I would love the publicity kind of thing, just of spread a message around. I want to keep it a bit wholesome, I want to spread my wholesomeness to the community and stuff like that. Show my interest in media and branch out some other stuff. Some other bits I will have this month, actually. I will talk on some reviews. I have currently filmed one review, which is the one for the Mario movie. I did have one version I made a while back ago, but, I wanted to get a better picture quality. The audio might be a bit messy, but I can get my best effort for that. And I have a few other reviews. I'll do one for Fast X. I will probably get eventually around to Spider-Verse when I see that. I'll get Transformers, Indiana Jones, Little Mermaid. A few of them. There's a few films I still have to watch from earlier this year, like Beau is Afraid and Megan and The Whale. I just get around to that one. But there's a few of them. And yeah, it's not going to be just blogs and reviews as well. I'm going to try to figure out some skits. If you've been around on my social media from years ago, you know about a certain thing I used to do, the skits. I could bring them back. Gotta figure some ideas and try and be, stuff that's not gonna, cause complaints a lot, but, nothing is complained about in this modern day and age. And yeah, I'll probably try and get some gameplay, do some gameplays at some point, do some, long opinionated piece videos. But, yeah, we'll figure it all out. But anyways, I thank you time for listening to me ramble there, because I completely rambled on there for an extra 2 minutes, longer than I needed to be. And, yeah, I hope you enjoy watching this video. Like it, comment if you can. Love to have a discussion with any of you, Give me some opinions of how I can improve stuff, That's kind of what I want to at least learn as well. Hopefully my audio will get an improvement. I'm going to try and get a microphone for this, a nice decent one. One that's essentially a streaming one, but we get to it. And yeah, look forward to some other stuff coming out soon enough, and I hope you continue to join along with me on this journey of, the internet, of the YouTubes and all things media and everything else. I might change my name on my channel just so instead of just my name, I might make it to something else. But anyway, I hope you all stay being wonderful people. Good night and powering off. Love you all, guys.